you and good morning, everyone. Day number 2, only the best. La crème de la crème, as we say in French, are in the room, I'm sure. I hope you had a coffee. I still need mine, but if you didn't, I'll try to be the coffee for you right now with this keynote and spark interesting ideas for you. So this is a slightly unconventional perspective or point of view on customer experience. That means it's not a case about Majid Al Futtaim. It's not a detailed review of softwares or of journey maps, etc. It's really, what did I learn over the last 12, 13 years across a number of industries, and what am I happy to share as, I think, interesting advice on how to win at CX. Not that I won, but that I observed many people winning. So, you've already heard about me. I've had the pleasure to work on marketing, transformation, digital, and later on customer experience in a variety of industries, and I think we can learn a lot from these different places. And I'm a very versatile person per nature, so you will see that in the different advices I borrow from different fields that are not necessarily corporate fields, but there's a message about customer experience transformation. Cool, so just about Majid Al Futtaim very briefly. Why do I love my job? I said yesterday, best job, because of this. Because of the ecosystem of brands that we carry and the opportunity we have to impact our consumers' lives multiple times a day, from where they live to where they shop, where they dine, from a lot of other opportunity when it comes to fashion. We even have some financial services and hotels and many things. So I get on a daily basis to work on interesting topics across different verticals, and I never get bored. And I have fantastic teams that support this effort throughout the business. So I want to start by sharing my point of view of where are we in the world of CX. We've been talking about CX for maybe a lot more for 10 years now. Where are we? If you listen to guys at Qualtrics XM Institute, and by the way, we have a few of them here today, they tell you experience transformation is now more important than digital transformation was. I agree with this, right? But at the same time, I think CX, just like any other field, any other, if I make an analogy, technology introduced to the world, goes through what Gartner calls the hype curve. So you start by introducing, let's say, AI to the world. There's a trigger, and then immediately there's a huge set of expectations. People keep talking about it. It's going to revolutionize the world. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. But soon enough, they realize it takes effort. You need to change your ways. You need to adapt, and that's painful. So the momentum goes down drastically. And then, slowly but surely, if your company, if yourself are investing enough in this, are really committed, then you climb up that productivity plateau. And I think CX right now is coming back. It's coming back with more maturity, more impact than it used to have in the past. And it's no longer just the fluff of it, it's really the critical nature of it. With that being said, it remains difficult for people to grasp CX. They confuse everything sometimes. In your own companies, I'm sure you have this issue. What's the difference between CX and UX? What's the difference between service design and experience design and all of these things? So we still have to deal with that. So the world is getting mature, but still, inside our companies, it's a different logic sometimes. And then you add other topics like employee experience, brand experience, It's still very confusing for people. When it comes to Majid Al Futtaim, and I said it's not going to be about Majid Al Futtaim, but just this is the last slide about us, where are we right now? We've embarked on a 5-year transformation journey 5 years ago, and now we've reached a stage where after establishing some of the foundational capabilities, like the biggest VOC program in the region, a school of great moment to train our teams, experience design, continuous improvement capabilities, a clear vision, now we try to focus our CX efforts around 3 things. CX impact, demonstrated, superiority over the competition, and innovation. This is critical. I'll come back to these 3. Now, with this in mind, what's my advice, or what could be a set of advice to win at CX? The first one is to evolve your focus as CX teams. So if we look at this pyramid and we imagine on the right side that we're talking about the customer needs, what are the different needs that customers have? There's a basic layer, of course. You need to meet today's expectations. I want this product at the right price, at the right time, in the right channel. If you don't do that as an enterprise, of course you're dead, right? But of course, customers want more. They want enhanced, personalized experiences. And if you tackle that as a brand, it's your opportunity to be part of the leaders in the industry. There's an additional layer, and sometimes it's not declared, but customers love brands that deliver breakthrough and innovations. And if you tackle this as a company, it's your way to really be the market shaper. So if we're aligned on these high-level needs, then on the left side, you need to adjust or adapt the focus of your teams. It can no longer just be the governance. I mean, you still have to do this over and over. The KPIs, the reporting, the measurement, the communication, that's fundamental, the standards and all of that. But you need to add a layer of advanced customer experience delivered notably through experience design, which is foundational, and continuous improvement, but on steroids. And finally, to tackle the top layer, I really advise you to stretch your team's focus and scope towards customer-led innovation. That's what happened to my teams. We're now looking after customer experience and innovation. Not the whole of innovation, not disruptive tech, not these kind of things, but customer-led innovation. Right? So that's my first advice, evolve your focus. The second one is reducing complexity. And I'm really guilty here because I like to build frameworks and tools, etc. But I realize at some point when you join a company that has a lot of those, it feels like this. Like you're thrown into the seat of the cockpit of an A380 and you're told, drive customer experience. And you're a bit puzzled, but they tell you, no, it's easy. You have 53 CX standards. The company defined them for you. You have CX principles. You have, the brand commandments. You have different frameworks. It keeps going. You're overwhelmed completely by those. You have, of course, your company vision and your business priorities. That's the environment you're stepping in, and it's not easy to grasp. So my advice is, instead of this, try to build for your employees, for your new joiners, for your CX professionals, an environment that looks like this, a Tesla dashboard. Same amount of engineering, maybe more. Same amount of smartness and capability, just displayed in a different way. So apply to yourself the very same principles you use when you design experiences for customers. Next, you have to know that you're competing, right? We all have competitors, direct, indirect, and I think it's very naive to just stay in your own bubble, do your own thing, and never look at them. Never look at them beyond knowing what's the market share. You need to engage deeply in understanding their experiences. Where are the differences? So now we're pushing our teams. We have a network of about 35, 40 CX professionals in the group, and I encourage all of them to go and explore in depth, firsthand, what these experiences are, and to uncover this is where they are superior, this is where we are superior, this is where we're going to focus in terms of fighting, this is where we're not going to go and compete. I found that more often than not, CX teams are not focused on competition. I think it's key. So this is just an example. I brought our CX community the other day to a competitor mall, just as consumers, but encouraging them really to follow some missions and journeys and document what's delivered super well, what's less interesting, and how do you do that. So those safaris, those immersions are essential. No, don't simply rely on your mystery shopping. Next advice is build an awesome community. That's what I'm the proudest of at Majid Al Futtaim, is the set of people that I work with when it comes to CX. They're all super talented. They're all super humble in terms of learning from each other, and they collaborate a lot. Remember, we have all of these business verticals. The key opportunity is not just to be the greatest at hotels or at shopping malls. It's to build transversal experiences, experiences that start in a hotel, continue in a mall, and then go to another part of our business. That can only happen if you have a community that works well together. This one is critical, and I really, really encourage you to spend time on this. CX is often taken as yet another fluffy thing. We don't know what the impact is, and when you pitch for your budget, which is probably happening right now, chances are finance team will come to you and say, I don't really see the impact, so thank you, but we're going to reduce it by 25%. But that won't happen. That won't happen if you did this. Actually, the opposite will happen. You'll be given more money if you proved why it's critical. So befriending your CFO and proving value will take more than just a crystal ball. There are very practical things to do. I would be happy to share much more about this, maybe over a coffee after, but we've experimented a lot of things. And we've built multiple business cases and ROI demonstrations over initiatives. The thing we stopped doing, because we discovered it doesn't work, was take an NPS score and say a variation of X equals that much growth or whatever. It just doesn't exist. It's not possible. Whoever tells you it is, I think is not serious. However, if you take one CX project here, one CX project there, etc., and you look at the cost, the revenue, the investment associated with it, you do the math. If you take those average ROI scores, you look at your total investments, etc., then you reach something that's better demonstrated. Another way we've done it as well is use our VOC data to predict churn. So thanks to Qualtrics, actually, we've been able to look at our Carrefour business and understand, how many of these dissatisfied customers might churn in the next 6 months. You take that number, you multiply it by the lifetime value, and you know the revenue that's at risk. And therefore, if you invest in CX, you know you can safeguard some of this. And that's what you need to pitch to your CFO. Now, you need to do one thing. I love music, I'm a guitarist myself. Tuning is key. But tuning into what? Tuning into your brand. You're not delivering CX in a void. You're delivering CX, designing for CX, in the context of a brand. So really critical to connect the dots between the two. What is my brand really about? The purpose, the missions, the values, the equities. And that's what you bring to life through CX. CX is not run in isolation. It belongs to that wider world. And when you do that, focus on superiority for your brand. So what does it mean? It means, like I just said, start with your brand promise and deliver it through customer experience. Focus your efforts on the moments, experiences that serve critical needs. So obviously, we've talked about it yesterday a lot. Listen, learn, and identify the critical needs. As I just said before, also look at your competition. Make sure that you define where you compete, where you don't compete, and have the most talented people. But superiority is key. It's not just CX for the sake of ticking a box. It's to win. More often than not, we see companies that are not aggressive enough, or shall I say, ambitious enough when it comes to what CX delivers in that competitive context. Now, this one is also a favorite for me. As a CX professional, you really care. You care about what your customers say. You care about consumers and what they want, as we just said. But then the trap is to try to tackle every need, which is really not what you should do. I don't know if you've ever seen this painting. This painting is called America's Most Wanted, and it's done by, in 1993 by two Russian-American artists. And what they've done is they've surveyed 1,001 Americans, average Americans, and they've asked them, what do you want to see in a painting? What are your preferences? Size, colors, characters? So because people told them they wanted, famous people, they put one famous person. They wanted persons in group, they put a little group. They wanted wild animals, they put wild animals. They wanted, outdoor, a lake, whatever. They packed it all. They've done the job. They've listened, and they've acted against the feedback. But what happens when you do that? I mean, this happens. And it's meaningless, right? In terms of art, I personally don't want this in my living room. It lacks character. It doesn't have an angle to it, right? I mean, art is subjective, but really, what I'm trying to convey here as a message is focus on your differentiation, not on pleasing everyone. By the way, it's much easier to just tackle a few needs over all of them, and it's much more differentiated. There's another one that's key. When you do all of this as a CX team, when you design experiences, when you innovate, when you build your strategies, you will be tempted to use consultancies. And we all do, and it's great. And consulting is a very important job. However, there is a trap that I call the GPS syndrome. And I think we will all understand what that is. Maybe this morning when you came here, although you must probably be very familiar with Dubai Marina address, you use your GPS. And what happens when you do that? You follow a screen. You're driving and you're following the screen. You're not really reading the environment. You're not really learning your surroundings. Oh, that street's name is this. Oh, there's a new restaurant there, etc. You're focused on following the guidance. And therefore, you're not building your mental map. And that creates a situation where you're going to be less creative, and you're gonna diminish your decision-making muscle. So consulting, great. Use it, but use it as a reference. Make your own decisions. Be your own driver, right? It's critical not to limit your understanding of your environment. And talking about muscles and exercising muscles, there's another tricky one that you need to think of. It's actually a posture, not a muscle. You need to work on your split. Some of you might know this commercial, I think for Volvo Trucks with Jean-Claude Van Damme, a very famous martial artist and comedian. And I think he wants to think he's a philosopher too, but really isn't. Work on your split. What does it mean? You have today's priorities that you need to tackle as a CX team, right? You have your operational issues. You have the experience of right now that's broken here, and you need to fix it, and you need to make sure it's at the right level. And at the very same time, your board might be asking for the next big things and for the CX of the future. And of course, you need to look into this. But it only works if you look at both, right? To be able to invest in the future, you need to secure the revenue of today. And to be able to build the future and for consumers to adopt it, you need to be able to be credible by delivering the quality of the experiences right now. So that's the split you need to work on. And you need to explore, as I just said, the future. So looking at new CX frontiers, looking at trends, and beyond trends, looking at innovation, as we'll speak about in a moment. So there are many trends at play. And again, when you process a new project, a new experience, a new strategy, I think there are 4 key inputs, right? There's who am I as a brand? Well, who is my customer? What are the needs, etc.? What's my competition doing? And also, what are the trends? Where's the world headed? You have to have a point of view on all of these and many more. This is just my personal selection, but there's so many more that you need to think about. So the line of sight of a CX team is not just this project, is the context in which it comes. Which leads indeed to innovation. So many companies will have innovation teams, and they will do a lot of innovative projects. And I know we are in a conference where we talk about technology and how critical it is, and I'm a believer, don't doubt. But what companies don't do enough is anchor their innovation programs in customer and brand-centric way. So just because there's this new technology coming, let's go for an innovation program about it. Instead of starting with what customers want today, what they will maybe want tomorrow, and what my brand is about. So when we look in the world, 75% approximately of new products and innovations fail, which is not alarming because, we discussed it yesterday, testing is critical, and it's okay to have a few defects. But when you look at why some of this could be avoided, a lot of this could be avoided, it's because most of the time companies don't look at the needs of their customers. They start, hang on, and say, they always quote Ford saying, yeah, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have just told me, faster horses or something like that. True, you need to anticipate on some needs, but there's still some weak signals of today's needs that you can peak and transfer to the future. And they lack focus. They spray and pray. They try to do a bit of everything. Have an innovation pipeline that's really focused on 3 things that resonate with your customers' needs and resonate with your brands. This is critical. So we have launched our customer and brand innovation program in a context where before that we focused mostly on tech innovation, which is critical, and other types. Now, when you innovate, when you design, when you build experiences, do it with your stakeholders. Co-creation, I think I'm a huge believer of co-creation, and there are some companies that really, really set a beautiful example. Lego. Did you know that when you go to a Lego store, actually about, I think, 30% of the products you can buy there were designed by fans. They came up to Lego on their online platform and said, I have this idea. I want to propose that this Fender guitar becomes a Lego model. And then through the power of community, people voting on this platform, etc., Lego says, as soon as you reach 10,000 votes, we'll produce it, and you'll earn money out of it. This idea came to Lego, and they didn't have to pay for it immediately. It's later on that there's a revenue share mechanism, but it's free. Use it. Decathlon, same thing. IKEA, same thing. Co-create with your stakeholders, and not just consumers, by the way, academics and industry peers. The collaborations are a trend that is here to stay. Talking about that, I don't know if you've ever heard recently of this new collaboration between IKEA and Chanel. Did anyone see this? No? Well, it doesn't exist, so that's why. It doesn't exist. I completely made that up. This is my creation, and I'm not a visual designer, by the way, at all. I've just used an app which delivers AI art, and I've tried to bring it to a corporate context and a branding context, and I wondered, What can you do with this that's useful? So if I'm a creative director, I can use this for free. I deliver in minutes what my IKEA and Channel collection could look like. And I think it looks pretty good, by the way. I would buy this personally. The same way I would buy this, which also doesn't exist. I mean, there were collaborations between Louis Vuitton and Nike before, but this is a completely new one. Looks pretty slick, honestly. And you can even think of extending ranges with this. So this is a complete line for cats by Louis Vuitton. I don't know if they will ever do this, but if they don't, maybe I'll end up doing it now. Look at it, beautiful. Even the cats that are not wearing objects, they look like the Louis Vuitton model. That's the way AI art works, right? They look at, imagine it performs a huge Google image search, and then it takes everything and it brings the additional input you've given, which in this case was Louis Vuitton, cats and Louis Vuitton. So what am I saying with this? Sorry, just coming back to this one. Why am I showing you this? Not just because I'm very proud of that, but because you can try, you can experiment. You don't have to wait until your innovation program is completely launched. You don't have to pay millions. You don't have to, CX professionals, I think, have to be very creative and proactive and again, influence beyond their core remit. This could influence your brand strategy. This could influence your creative strategy. And technologies are really, really mature for that now. Okay, another one. Understanding how decisions are made. I think this one is obvious, but let me explicitate that slightly further. You have products and experiences available to consumers, right? Let's say that's how they look, right? A gray square. They're perfectly identical, right? Now if I do this, just this, they look different. The colors are different. You think they are, but they are not, right? Just because we added a background. What's the metaphor here or the analogy? Around your product, around your experience, your service, perception is influenced by what you put around. The price, the hype, the brand, the look and feel, etc. CX is a marketing job, whether we like it or not. It remains a marketing job. So when you engage in building a new experience, you have to think already about the marketing concept, already about the pricing strategy, the look and feel, etc. Expand, and it's fun, right? It's interesting. So remember this, because when people make decisions, they won't judge your experience just on the basis of what it actually delivers to them. It will be about that wider perception and all the things you've put around your experience. Still in the chapter about how people think and make decisions. When they choose to buy a car from you, for example, what's the mental process they go through? We know, I will not teach you that, all the steps in the journey that they go through, So what's the equation they're trying to resolve? That's the one. The net value they perceive of your experience is equal to what they anticipate as the reward minus the pain. And it's not always explicit. Again, the value of the reward part or the value. There's the explicit value. My car is worth that, is going to be worth that much as an asset, is going to be able to carry me from A to B, is going to, offer this and that feature, functional aspects. But then it's also going to put me maybe into a certain state of mind. I may elevate my social status when it comes to this, etc. So there's implicit benefits and value. The same way, beyond the cost, the explicit cost, this is the money I had to pay for it, there's the implicit cost in terms of pain, administrative pain, the time it took, the effort I had to put in. So you have to anticipate on these. And when we say hassle-free, it's about tackling that implicit cost layer. And when we say inspiring experiences, it's about tackling that implicit value layer. This one, we all know about it, but we don't speak enough about it. I hope we have maybe today, later on, something around our employee experience. It's critical. I can have the best stores, best products, and the best mall, beautiful design. If my employees on the shop floor, feel demotivated, don't understand what they belong to, believe that they are not empowered, they don't have the tools, then the experience they deliver to our customers will be bad, right? No great CX without great EX. It's easier said than done, of course, but the reality is people are the brand, they make or break it. And the other reality is that the vast majority of people worldwide are disengaged in their jobs. I think at some point the survey was almost 67% of people are disengaged in what they do. So imagine the quality of the experience they deliver. That's because the companies don't invest enough on making it great for them to work there. So I won't cover a lot of techniques there. There are many, and I'm not the specialist on this at all. But I'll tell you a small story that actually an ex-boss of mine told me that recaps one of the things that's critical to deliver great customer experience for employees. It's the story about the 3 people that break rocks. So imagine you're in the street and you see 3 people just breaking rocks, okay? Let's say you're curious and you go to the first one and you ask them, what are you doing? And they tell you, well, can't you see I'm breaking rocks? Okay. You go to the next one and you ask the same question, what are you doing? And this time they'll tell you, I'm building a wall. And you go to the third one, just out of curiosity again, and you ask, what are you doing? And this time they'll tell you, I'm building a cathedral. These 3 people were doing the exact same thing functionally, but the understanding they have of their purpose, of what they are a part of, is completely different. And obviously, you can imagine the level of pride, the level of energy, the level of commitment will be very different as well. So make sure that you align your employees on the mission of your brand. So brand was present in a lot of what I just said, but it's not just important for your teams, it's really critical for your employees across all parts of the organization. Final one, become a DJ. So it turns out, I still am, but I used to be a professional DJ, touring the world, playing music. It was a fantastic period of my life, and I found an analogy with this activity and CX. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. Why? Because great DJs, they know the best and newest out there. So remember the trends aspect, critical, you have to do that. That's what DJs do. They play you the right tunes all the time. They read the crowd. So listening abilities are critical for CX professionals. You need to really take the pulse of not just their customers, but the industry and all of that. And the DJs, the good ones at least, they take you on a journey, right? There's a progression. There's an elevation of the mood. It's almost like a voyage, as we say in French. And they have to mix those songs together with a lot of mastery. It's not just common sense. I know you can mix with a computer now, and you just press a sync button, but I don't consider that to be real DJing. The greatest DJs have a very strong ability at mixing those frequencies, and actually what I'm trying to say here is hire strong professionals. Don't let your company believe anyone can do CX. It's just not true. They master the tempo. Time is everything in the world of CX, right? Timing is critical, from the timing of a journey to, again, remember those 2 horizons, today and the future, as I build my pipeline of innovation and design for CX. And obviously, as a CX DJ, you need to master this. And you need to deliver memorable moments. That's the essence of what we do. And finally, when you remember a night out with a great DJ, you remember their distinctive sound. So I wanted to close on that most important point for me, differentiation. We are all CX professionals here, but if we were suddenly starting to do exactly the same thing, the world would be very boring. If our brands were all the same, this conference would be really annoying. And that's just what we want to avoid. So bring your character to the work, bring the brand's character to the experiences you deliver, and focus on differentiation. And with that, thank you very much for listening to my advice.